Hello, fellow Movie Crusaders, and welcome to another episode. As today we're going to be reviewing a film that's been out for a couple weeks now, and that is I guess I would call it a horror war film, Shadow in the Cloud. Now, basically the main plot for Shadow in the Cloud is we follow a female World War II pilot traveling with a top secret document or package on a B-17 flying fortress, encountering an evil presence on board the flight. This is starring Chloe Grace Moretz, who I am a huge fan of. I loved her as Hit Girl and Kick-Ass. She really, I guess she really hasn't done a whole lot, I think, since Kick-Ass 1 and 2 that I've actually really enjoyed. But I do really like her as an actress, and she does have Tom and Jerry coming out later in the month. But every time I kept seeing this trailer, I was intrigued to see how this movie would do, because I really wanted to see her at another kind of like kick-ass performance, which she definitely does here as Maude Garrett. The film itself is very tight space. It all takes place for the most part on this plane. And it also kind of has some elements of like the Twilight Zone, or I think it was the Twilight Zone, with the creature on the wing kind of thing. If it's not Twilight Zone, I apologize, but that's what my brain's going to, is Twilight Zone. Could be Creepshow, but I'm pretty sure it's Twilight Zone. Anyway, basically we follow Maude Garrett, who has a very, very important package. But once again, we are in World War II, and thus she's a female, and none of the males on board really will listen or basically, give her any credit, or basically just talk down to her. Really, the only main actor that I recognize in this group is you have Nick Robinson, who plays Stu Beckel. He's kind of like the young shooter on the plane. Everyone else are people that I really have not seen. But basically, as she is kind of forced down to the bottom of the plane where the gunner is, she starts to notice a creature on the plane, which of course, they call it a gremlin. But basically, no one will pay attention to her. Don't want to listen to her because she's a woman. But once she points out a Japanese plane coming near them and starts shooting at it and taking it out, people's opinions start to change a little bit. But nonetheless, she's still a female in this film, so no one will listen to her. And if you see the eye roll and you see kind of my ugh to it, and that's the problem with Shadow in the Cloud, is this movie basically has to make every male character, for the most part, an idiot, a chauvinist pig, sexist, and borderline they might rape her if she isn't careful kind of character. And this is something that I really had an issue with in Wonder Woman 2, and this movie is no different. It's really hard to really get into this film and enjoy the film for the most part when the male characters are so over the top obnoxious and sexist to this character, who's been proving right so far in the film. And then even after they prove right, at the split drop of a hat, completely turn their backs on her right away until basically they're under attack. The other part of this film too is that while this is technically a horror film because of the gremlin, it's more of just a straight up war film, because while yes, the gremlin is attacking the plane, they're also being attacked by Japanese fighter pilots, and to the point where the gremlin's just more of a nuisance and an annoyance than an actual threat for the most part in this film. The main threat is really these Japanese fighter pilots attacking them in such close quarters, because their plane was not prepared for a combat mission. So while yes, they can fight back, they're not prepared for a fight. But the gremlin is obviously just like in the Twilight Zone episode, at least I think it was Twilight Zone. It's tearing apart the ship, and it's trying to get to the package that Maude is trying to protect. I will say this as a positive in this film, and this is what really makes the film work for the most part, outside of all the male characters in this movie, which are just borderline stupid, is the tension is definitely there. It's very claustrophobic, especially for the Maude character, because she is stuck in such a confined space. And when no one is listening to her on what's happening, and her kind of having to do everything herself, and kind of without her, they would all die, which for the most part, most of them do. But it's one of those things where the tension of what's going on in the film to Maude's character is incredibly addicting to watch. It was very hard for me to take my eyes off the screen. I was on the edge of my seat while watching it. So in terms of the action and the suspense of this movie exceeds its expectations. It definitely kept me glued to the edge of my seat, even though I was rolling my eyes pretty much anytime any of the male actors spoke. So take that for what you will. The gremlin creature, it looks fine for the most part. I mean, honestly, it looks kind of like a bat, I would say, for the most of the movie. The gremlin creature, though, it's good and it's bad because, one, it does very good in making some scary elements, but it's also bad because it starts to kind of just become an annoyance by the end of the film, that to the point where you're just like, oh my god, just kill the damn thing. Whereas, like I said, the main threat is the Japanese fighter pilot shooting at the plane, which I think in terms of what the film was trying to sell, it definitely kind of misleads you in the trailers. I think that this is going to be a full-on horror film. It's definitely not up there with the likes of like Overlord, which was one of my favorite films of, I believe it was 2019 or 2018. I believe it was 2019, which effectively did the horror aspects incredibly well. This movie, it's definitely more of an action thriller and less of a horror. Like I said, Chloe Grace Moretz, she does a great job. I think she does a fantastic job in the film. It's one of my favorite performances that I've seen of her so far. I think she carries this movie incredibly well. The problem is that the rest of the male cast, and it's not what they're doing is bad acting. It's not. It's just their dialogue is atrocious. And I mean, they're doing their best they can to act with what they have to say, but it's one of those things where it makes every male character, for the most part, outside of like one or two of them, borderline unbearable to listen to. And they talk so much throughout the movie, and they basically try to keep Maud from talking, that you really just can't wait to see these characters die. And I mean, yes, in horror movies, that is a cliche thing, is make the male characters so unbearable that when they die, you cheer. But the kills aren't even really earned in these movies. Like, every character that straight up dies, you hope that it's going to be like a gruesome death or something because of gremlin or whatever. But most of them die because of the fighter pilot shooting at the plane, not because of the gremlin. I don't think the gremlin really kills anybody in this movie. Spoiler, I guess. I mean, he injures people in the movie, but I don't think he actually straight up kills anybody. I think it's all done by the Japanese fighter pilot. But the movie itself, like I said, it's adrenaline heavy. You're definitely going to be on the edge of your seat watching it because it's an exciting film. It's just that there's definitely some plot holes. There's definitely some situations that really don't add up. There's a character that is said to be dead at one point, but then just shows up randomly, and everyone just is kind of like, oh, but you're on a plane. Where the hell were you? You know, there's the hidden package itself is also kind of okay, and then the story kind of folds in on itself and not in a good way. And then the end is kind of also very eye-rolling as well. But like I said, the end of the first act, the second act, is very intense. It's fun to watch for those moments, but I will say the ending of the third act definitely kind of falls flat for me. By the end, I was kind of just like, all right, let's get this over with. But going to my overall score for Shadow in the Cloud, I'm going to give it a 62%, which is a C, because like I said, what it aims out to do in terms of making it a thriller, edge of your seat kind of adrenaline stuff, it works. Chloe Grace Moretz, I think, puts on a very good performance. Like I said, I haven't really liked her in a lot of things I've seen her in since Kick-Ass, so this is definitely probably one of my more favorite performances of her, which is not saying a whole lot, but she does a really good job in this movie. The gremlin creature is okay at points. At other points, it's just annoying. But this movie is really held down by its plot holes and the male cast. The male cast is incredibly annoying, and I hate the way they're writing a lot of male characters now. They're all borderline, for the most part, creepy male chauvinist rapists, and it's just a little too heavy-handed on that. But nonetheless, Shadow in the Cloud, I will give a 62%. Do I recommend it? If you want to see a good Chloe Grace Moretz performance and a kind of a horror-esque war film, then yeah, sure, check out Shadow on the Cloud. But it's definitely not something that I'd say go out of your way to see because, like I said, by the end of the film, I was kind of just waiting for it to end. And it's not a long movie. It's only like an hour and a half. But definitely, they could they have written the male characters better? Yes. Could they have basically given them a little bit more screen time so that way their deaths mattered? Yes. Could they have made the gremlin more dangerous so that way it's kind of was more of like an aliens kind of thing on a plane? Yes. Could they have made Chloe Grace's character's story more plausible? Yes. But it was exciting to watch, and it was fun for while it was there. But yeah, that's the review. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe button to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos that pop up on Sean's Movie Crusades. It's actually the Movie Crusaders. I keep saying that. You get so long when you do these so much that you're just kind of an autopilot when you get to that part of the review. It's the Movie Crusaders, not Sean's Movie Crusades anymore. But yes, coming up next, I might do Malcolm and is it Malcolm and Marie? I can always forget what her name is in the movie. It's yeah, Malcolm and Marie. I might do a review for Malcolm and Marie. I haven't decided yet because I kind of heard kind of wishy-washy stuff about it, and part of me just doesn't kind of want to put myself through it. I know Tom and Jerry comes out in like 2 weeks. I'll definitely check that out with also Chloe Grace Moretz. But yeah, I'm not sure what movies are coming out here shortly because, like I said, everything's kind of in limbo with the way the world is right now. But one thing that is definitely going to be coming out every week that you guys will definitely be able to check out is the Weekend Crusaders with myself and Brian Michaels as we discuss 5 movies that came out in that weekend in movie history. We are definitely 2 months into it now. We are having a blast doing it. We hope you guys are enjoying watching it. That each episode pops in on Friday right at midnight. I'm going to try my best to keep it going at midnight on Friday every night. But definitely be on the lookout for that. Next week's episode is an all-comedy episode, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. And I hope you guys enjoyed this Valentine's Day episode that we had that came out this weekend. But yeah, until next time, in case I don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.
You're still here? It's over. Go home.